Let's call meeting to order. Approval of last month's minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve last month's minutes.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. First on the list of items here, I want to acknowledge and bring attention to the fact that we will have a new board member joining us at our next meeting in August. City Council approved the appointment of Ricardo Picasso as the open seat. So we're looking forward to her joining us next. Moving on then, a couple other general updates. Another acknowledgement I'd like to make is the retirements amongst our official operator group. Gregory Hansard is retiring after nearly 20 years of service with us at the end of this month. So wish him well, and we'll miss him, but appreciate his service to the district for the past 20 years. It's been a tremendous asset to us. So moving on then into a couple other notes around government affairs. Locally, we've spent the last month reaching out to several of our aldermen on the west side, bringing up the date of the service changes that we've discussed for implementation in the fall. We've met with Alderman Bell, Wilkins, Meeks, and Granite since our last meeting, and shared with them our plans, and they voiced their support and former staff on outreach to community members if we can proceed forward with that, if that's the board's desire to approve it. So done that on a local level. On the state level, General Assembly's been in recess, so really no updates or anything on the funding bill that was brought forth in the spring session. Veto session kicks off mid-October, so we'll re-engage with members at that time and hopefully get some momentum to move that forward. It's a critical issue. On the federal side, Senate unveiled their 2026 Transportation, Housing, and Development Appropriations Bill, which is what funds transportation on the federal side on a yearly basis. Very positive news there that they've given full funding for the bus and bus facilities low emissions formula grant and the competitor programs. There's a significant difference between the Senate bill and the House bill. So let's get together and true that up. So as we saw last year, that took till the following spring. So work always happens in the summer, and they put the bill forward, but whether it gets actually approved or not, those two chambers have to work together to do that. But at least what the Senate has put forth, I think the biggest positive on that is fully funding transit at the levels of the current authorization program, as we're in our last year of the IIJA. Discussions are already underway for the next reauthorization. This sets the groundwork for perhaps what we could expect from the Senate side in the reauthorization bill, which is fully funding at the continued levels, which is a strong statement about transit funding support. So that's some positives to take away from that. That aside, we can move on to just the regular part of the agenda, finance section. If you have any questions on that, in this matters, we can move on to the finance section. B2, payment of bills, included in your packet were the parking services rendered through June 24th and the AGHL services rendered through June 30th. For any questions on? Seeing none, then we can move on to approval of accounts payable invoices. Total in amount of $2,190,512.92. Those invoices are included in your pack. With any questions on those?
I have my question answered. Okay. I'll make a motion to approve the accounts payable invoices.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, great. Moving on then to the unaudited financial statement for June 2025, including your package. Just a couple actually had Xavier's memo in the packet. Just a couple notes, just reiterating where we ended up for the fiscal year. June was for revenues and expenditures up 13.5%, and then for 30.5% both. And then for fiscal year end, We were under budget, 2.76% on expenses, so we ended up right about where we need to be. And revenue matched that obviously with the subsidies included. Side note on that, the operating revenue for June was down 3%, but for the year we ended up 4.4% roughly on revenues, and with a higher level of revenues received than anticipated. So that's positive. If there's no other questions.
I did have a question. I saw in the summary that, she mentioned, there's a jump in the salary and expense benefits of a 17.85% increase. So that's really distributed between new hires?
Partially that.
Those, like, long overdue positions, or?
The increase in that, and then overtime as well. And that was for. Was that noted?
That was in the summary. She
For
told
the
it, yeah.
June or the fiscal year?
Have been from our entrance on our peak too.
Oh, that also would have been for it. As I say, it was the June portion of it. I'll get to the. We're in. Yeah, if it's on the admin side, then it gets into the. Right, yep, that was in the settlement for the wages and salaries for the increase in the contract.
Okay.
So that would have been contributing to that.
Yeah. Okay.
Aside from any other questions on those matters? There's none, then submit that for approval.
I'll make a motion to approve the unaudited financial statements of June 2025.
Second, all in favor?
Great.
And sorry to interrupt, I'm wondering if I can get the Wi-Fi password. I disconnected here. The rest of my board packet won't load without. Thank you. This one here.
Well, I'll just note that, with the wrap of fiscal year, obviously finished up financials and submitted, those to IDOT for our last of our fiscal year reimbursements. And so we're waiting on receipt of that at this point, if I'm correct. Expect receipt at any time. So then obviously following the closeout of this, then we'll start the effort of our financial audit with our auditors coming on here in September to start that whole process to get the audit wrapped up by the end of the year and submit that back to the state for FY25's full closeout. Good.
I'm not connected, but
Want to use mine?
There.
thank you.
That might be the easiest way to put it.
Okay.
All right.
You want to use mine?
Hey, all right, so where do we leave off? We approved the
Yes,
financial
we did. We're on
statement. We can go, yeah, okay, so we go to the pension portfolio fiscal year and performance review for June 30th, 2025, and the pension portfolio review through July 18th, the investment statement for the month ending June 30th. So all the pension related information in your packet with recent performance, along with the summary from the Vendor Associates for review with any questions on that. As much as can be expected in terms of those returns. All right, we'll move on then to the operations and maintenance facilities reports, the operations reports, and, vehicle and facilities report all included in your packet. Dan's memo, submitted for review. Dan, you wanna get the highlights on
Yeah, I
that?
had a couple of highlights, since it is in the fiscal year, we do have some end of year ridership numbers. For fiscal year 25, we transported 1,375,381 passenger rides, which is a little less than 1% lower than fiscal year 24. On the paratransit side, you'll see a big jump. Fiscal year was up 18.8% versus fiscal year 24. So we did 147,611 passenger rides on the paratransit side.
Do you attribute that to anything in particular,
Well, I mean, we get a lot of applications, so I think just with our aging society, there's a lot more people who are eligible to ride, and people are taking advantage of it. So
Just a couple notes on that. It's in the report. You can see that percentage of paratransit and response as a whole was up nearly 19%. SMT was only up 3%. So when you break that apart, paratransit rides, there was an increase of over 22,000 rides just in our paratransit segment of the service, which is pretty significant. The bulk of that increase is associated with our paratransit operations this year. So as Dan was saying, just increase in folks utilizing that. That was obviously a big increase, but it's also our single highest year ever on that side of the business, right? So our previous high, I believe, was back in 2019, FY 2019. The highest prior to that was 128,724. So we're nearly 20,000 higher than our prior year high prior. And along those same lines, going back to prior to COVID, our most recent high on the fixed route side was 1.5 million, or 1,519,254. So we're about 91% of where we were at in that last high year prior to COVID. So we're just getting very close. And where that leaves you at the combined total last year, fixed route plus paratransit combined, we were higher than we were combined in the prior fiscal year. So that just gives you indicative of that continuing increase that we're seeing across the use of public transit.
Great to see.
Vehicle maintenance report, George's report is in there for your review. Overall, we've been in pretty good shape. On the fixed route side, we ran into a couple of really weird one-off supply chain issues, which normally shouldn't be an issue. And we got a couple buses down because Cummins software has a problem. We can't update any of our battery electric buses. So we have 2 of those out of service waiting for them to fix their software. So I put a little bit of strain on us this last month, but we're in pretty good shape. Paratransit wise, we're in real good shape. All the new vans are in service, and all our old vans are pretty much off property and have been sold. Facilities report, my apologies, there's a typo on there. The staff has installed 1 shelter down by the airport. They haven't got the second one up yet. I thought they had, but that'll probably happen the next week. Projects report, facility expansion. As you can see, things are moving right along. We probably had 30 workers here today, electricians, bricklayers, NICOR is doing some work. The sheet metal guys are still here, iron workers, and concrete guys. So we're moving right along. And Mike and I and Paul just had a meeting with CCS, who's our owner's rep, and they were thinking, what are they saying, February? For phase 1 to be.
So a couple things on that is they've made up quite a bit of schedule, about 20 days since they started. So we're first scheduled about 60 days behind, but a lot of the work that they were doing in advance or have been doing has been on phase 2 on this facility. So I think, we'll see some more catch up once they transition from this to here in that second part of the schedule. Other, I think, things of note is that, obviously we're currently under budget or on budget with the contract. I mean, nice change orders above and beyond the amounts beyond what we had planned for contingency, and so we're still on track there as well. So that's been part of it.
Yeah, exciting to see it, especially out the board with it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, we're missing a couple windows now, but,
Yeah.
yeah, those are gonna get bricked over tomorrow. My apologies for not having them finished today, but, it started to rain, so they couldn't do it. So, the paratransit demand response software, really close to wrapping it up. The big holdup is the Medicaid form, which we need to get reimbursed from the state. We're still having, weekly calls with them to iron that out. I think, we're closer. Getting closer every week, but, yeah, and, so hopefully we get that wrapped up and move on to customer care. Boone County's still in their training phase. 46 rides were booked through the portal, the passenger portal for the month. And SMTD, we're still kind of onboarding those people, so that number will hopefully go up. I think it's probably gonna hit a level and it's probably gonna top out and those people will continue to utilize it, but, hopefully it grows a little bit.
Yeah, as I said, they have still not officially issued their communications to their customers, to get people to sign up yet, so they're running behind us.
Yeah.
A little bit longer than.
Yeah, and their passenger demographics are a little bit different than ours, so it's a lot more, because it's not necessarily paratransit, it's,
Anyone and everyone.
yes. So anybody can ride it, so I think a lot more people percentage wise will utilize it up there because they'll be able to navigate and be able to do it. Telephone system, finally wrapping that up. We have demos on August 14th. Our consultant set those up and me, Susan, Paula, and Troy will be on the evaluation committee, and we hope to have that to you guys at the August board meeting and get it awarded. So, any questions?
No.
No, that's all I got for now.
All right, then.
I guess just to know, it was good, nice to see, in the report, she added for the fall 2025, the route frequency change and our current frequency, so that was helpful to see, that stat in the data.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you for pointing that out. I forgot to mention. Moving on then to human resources, the claims history report for June. You can see we were down for the month, but still up for the fiscal year, over 9%. So somewhat to be expected with medical costs, but they continue to fluctuate on all. Any questions with that? Otherwise, we'll move on. The marketing report included in your packet for review. As you can see, we had some ongoing engagement efforts locally with our alderpersons, as well as one contract that we had for some advertisements in there, so some additional revenue putting in from that. Any questions? Great. I'll keep plugging right along. Nothing in the grants section, but I will note that we did submit a grant application middle of the month by the deadline for the FTA Lono and bus facilities grant program, and that's for the replacement of the 8 diesel buses that we have with a battery electric vehicle. So hopefully we'll hear back on that this fall, but just want to mention, give a shout out to a number of individuals that submitted letters of support. Our full delegation, federal delegation, submitted letters of support. Senators Durbin Duckworth and Representatives LaHood Sorensen, as did we received a letter of support from Secretary of IDOT, from County Board Chair Joe Fiorelli, Mayor McNamara, and then we even had a local business who, Rock Valley College submitted one as well, and also local business Concentric, which manufactured hydraulic pumps for the steering mechanisms in all of our buses. They have a contract with Gillick. We, through just a coincidental engagement with them, found out that we have a local manufacturer for bus part here in Rockford. Got letter support. Those are always appreciated. Nothing else there. We can move on then to our safety and training section. This is the updated report for June, including your packet. A couple notes on there as, again, end of the fiscal year, our required performance data that we track as part of that. All positives across the line in terms of end of the year results that were below our targets that we established. The one in which we were above was in system reliability. System reliability is road calls. And so we continue to reevaluate targets on a yearly basis. That's one that we just, on a month-to-month basis, fiscal year, need to kind of land on. Dan and direct work on that together on that. And so we'll reevaluate that target for next year. As part of our agency safety plan update, as we get into August, September, we work with our safety or joint labor management safety committee to go through the plan, approve all the updates, and then once those are all approved by the committee, it's submitted back to the board for approval later this fall, and that includes our annual update. So that's all work that's going on. The only thing that I'll mention is, which is included in the report, is that we have an ongoing kind of larger scale safety and training effort with all of our fixed route and paratransit operators revolving around de-escalation, crisis intervention, ADA sensitivity, and sexual harassment training. We have quite a large turnout for our mandatory training back in June for our training. We've got another one scheduled next month, so that included that effort. Very important to get that included. Really some critical topics that are helpful for giving our employees information and tools to manage their daily business. So, any questions in that area? If none, then we'll keep going. Other business. First up, we have the award of bus wash and specialty piping project. Dan, you want to?
Yeah, I believe I mentioned before. So this is really part of our construction project, but we did not bid it with the construction project because no general contractor wants to get into installing a bus wash that they know nothing about. So we did it a separate bid. It's really three things in one. It's a new bus wash, which we've needed for forever. We still have the original one with this building from 1989. Piping for the rooftop generator, which is part of the construction project. So it's to get the fuel from the in-ground tank up to the roof. And the last part is lubrication distribution system. As you know, we're expanding our maintenance area, so we need to have some hose reels out there, lube reels where we can service out there, and that's all included in this bid. We did only get one bid, which we weren't surprised. Cerrone was the only bidder. Cerrone is also doing the plumbing on the main project, which makes them competitive because they're already here in stage. So, so we did go through. The quote was for $1,099,000. All federal funds, no local funds will be needed. Staff is recommending that we issue a PO to Cerrone in the amount of $1,099,000.
I'll make a motion to approve the purchase order to Cerrone in the amount of $1,099,000.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
And then moving on to the award of security camera and door security upgrades and placement, the Eastside Transfer Center. Direct, can you walk us through that?
We've identified some available funding to allow us to do a rehab on our existing security and door system at the Eastside Transfer Center. The existing one was the original installation, and it is now failing, and it is no user serviceable parts available. It's end of service life. So we were able to identify some funds to rehab the system, replace all the existing equipment, and make that new equipment compatible with what we're going to be installing in our new construction, and we'll enable it to interface equally with everything down here. The funds available for the budget was $206,998.72. We solicited 3 bids from 3 local contractors that were interested. The low bid came back from Procom Enterprises for $206,998.72, and we'd like to recommend that we issue a PO to those guys and award it, and get that system back up, rehabbed, and running properly.
Is this the same company, I guess, that's doing all of the new, like the security cameras that'll be?
No, it's actually a different company. There are 2 Procoms, and this is another one from a different area. This one is called Procom Enterprises. I believe they are based out of Schaumburg. Yeah. Schaumburg. And they came out and did a complete survey of it and came out with a good price, and we're anxious to to get some work started with us.
But you said this, it'll interface just fine with
It will.
how the rest works. If it works.
And that was one thing that we were really taking on.
And the original system, about 12, 13 years old.
At least it's the original one that was built in there.
I'll make a motion to approve the purchase order to Procom Enterprises Ltd. in the amount of $206,998.72.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Just know that was, from a federal grant that we previously programmed funds for, and so it's all federal and local money.
Local funds.
The one for the bus wash was also federal funds. Clarify that.
With just with our formula funds, we didn't go apply separately for it.
All right, moving on, then we have the award of Clever Insights software upgrades, also memo included in your, as a handout here. For the packet. This software is part of our, currently, we have a software that is part of our Clever CAD system, our iterated dispatch automatic vehicle location, automatic passenger counter system. The software and back end helps us generate all the ridership data that you see in front of us, does all the required federal sampling that we're required to do on an annual basis as well. When we originally bought the Clever system, the particular software that does all that, called Ride Check Plus, was included in that. And since that time, Clever has developed a new product and has developed a product that is anticipated to replace the current software that we have, but it wasn't available at the time we purchased it. The software we have is going to be phased out, and so at some point we're going to have to replace it with this software. So because we're a recent purchaser and the current customer, they were offering some significant discounts on the price of the initial licensing, and so for us to take advantage of that, we can get in at a much cheaper cost initially for that. And so we did an analysis and asked for pricing of what others have paid who purchased that recently separately. As you can see in the memo, they've incurring a higher cost than what we incur. So what we're asking to do is to move forward with approving the purchase of this upgraded software, replace what we currently have. We're going to be using some leftover CARES capital funds that we originally had programmed for the full replacement of the Clever CAD, or for the purchase of the Clever CAD system originally. We had some left over in there and enough in there that'll cover the cost of this software upgrade. And that funding will cover at least the software licensing the first year of the maintenance support grant. So then the following years, it would just transition back to an operating expense and replace the Ride Check Plus maintenance software agreement that we have, and the cost that's recurring from that on a yearly basis. So, yeah.
Sorry, so the amount recommended for approval is the 99,000. Is, I understand, like the 44,000 is for the first year and the setup, and then the 55,000 is each year after that.
Correct.
So it's for,
Yeah.
we would be approving 2 years of.
We're approving for the purchase of the software, for us to purchase the software at $99,633.71. And after purchase that, we will be using our federal funds to pay for the first year and the licensing at the amount of $44,451.61.
Okay.
So after that, it'll just switch over to an operating expense in our budget in the same way that we're paying for the Ride Check Plus. So it's replaced that as the non-point.
Yeah.
Through the approval is for the award of the purchase of the software for $990.
I'll make a motion to approve the setup of the software at 99,633.
All in favor?
Great, thank you. Moving on, next item we have is approval of the proposed fall service payments. So Also included in your packet was the outline, just kind of follow from the last meeting, we provided all the background information, all of the changes that we were proposing and asked the board to move forward with conducting the required public outreach efforts on that. We're asking everyone to report back to the board today that we've done that. We didn't receive any. We conducted 2 public hearings on the matter, both this week, yesterday, and today. We received no input, feedback on those efforts. As I mentioned earlier, we had done some outreach to our local organizations as well as did an outreach effort as part of our community action forum at see and went through that, solicit public opinion on that. All in all, positive feedback from what we received. I think we have one of our honorable older persons in the background there. We shared the information with who
Want to see it all get approved.
there you go. Part of that effort. So appreciate that and thank you for coming in and attending. So I don't know if there's any questions. You had an opportunity to review all the things. I know we've gone through them in depth, but we're saying at this point that we would like to move forward with them based on staffing and manpower for our regularly scheduled pick in October of this year. So that's our next one. Otherwise, we do especially on reviewing where we're at with retirements and so forth. Our best and most successful rollout will happen in October, so that we're staffed accordingly. So that's when we would like to implement those effectively.
Sounds good.
I think we talked a little bit about this at the last meeting, just about the rollout of how it will be marketed. We'll do it on the bus, on the website, on the app, at shelters. I guess, but there's,
Yes.
Okay.
And I think, in speaking with, and as we talked with all the aldermen on this, I mean, I think there's a desire to, and for us to attend as many community outreach meetings as we organize with various boards as well. So that's going to be part of our effort as well as, and using their communication chains to push it out as well. So that's what we're anticipating doing for that outreach.
I'll make a motion to approve proposed changes effective October 12th.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. All right, moving on then to the approval and extension of the Amazon agreement. So handout the agenda. We've got we had a receipt outreach from Amazon as follow-up to our initial unlimited access agreement we entered into them last September. They wanted to extend indefinitely, so we went back and forth and established some terms and conditions for doing that, which are outlined in the amendment. Essentially, they will continue to pay the same fee in which they have been paying, unless either party has a reason to change that, and that can be based on a variety of factors, whether reduction in staffing in their facilities or a desire to increase the number of trips to match up with shift times and things of that nature. So each party still has the terms and conditions set forth in the original to change those, and if so, then there may be a fee change. But the initial intent of this is to maintain the same fee. They have the same population that's taking advantage of that, and it's price-based for users. So we'd like to continue that effort. So with that, we have an amendment here, which they'll go through our channels to get approval on and provide the board approves, and we'll both mutually sign off on that and extend the agreement until further notice. And it'll renew on a year-to-year basis under those terms. So if I get questions, happy to answer them. Otherwise, an approval will authorize me to enter into an amendment extension.
Make the motion to approve entering into amendment and negotiations with Amazon.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Let's see, next item, we do have a brief few items that need to touch upon executive session, but otherwise we're at the end of the business items. Next meeting scheduled for Monday, August 25th.
Executive session.
Yep.
Okay, we're going to executive session to discuss pending litigation matters pursuant to 5 CS 122C11 of the Illinois Open Meetings Act.
Just need a motion to adjourn. Oh, make a motion to adjourn.
Second, all in favor?
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.